这里是慧眼云视周正艺术频道，生活离不开艺术，艺术就是生活。Life is art. Art comes from life. Welcome to Cloud TV 周正 Art Channel.
Hello everybody, this is the Zhouzhen Art Channel. Right now we are at 21515 Hosang Boulevard. We are Cyber Image Studio. We're interview the very famous artist from the California University of the Los Angeles. He is Mr. Richard Wearn. He's an art professor of the art department of the California State University of Los Angeles. Hi, Richard.
Hi, Joey.
Nice to meet you.
Great to see you.
Very welcome to my Zhouzhen Art Channel.
Great to be
I know
here.
you traveled there's a couple months you traveled the world. You went to the Europe, you went to the New Zealand, and you traveled a lot. So today I invite you to come to the new channel, Zhouzhen Art Channel. Our channel, I always tell my audiences, life is art. Art comes from life. What do you think about the slogan about my Zhouzhen Art Channel?
I love your slogan. It is life. Art is
I
life.
know right now you're working with full-time working with art professor of the California State University of Los Angeles. I heard that you are a sculptor, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yes, you do a lot of sculpture of that. So could you a little bit introduce to our audience yourself and what do you teach for your students?
My name's Richard. I'm originally from New Zealand, and I had the good fortune to arrive in Los Angeles on a scholarship to the University of Southern California to pursue my studies and to also take up a sporting scholarship to play rugby for the University of Southern California. My life continued on from that in a pursuit of understanding and information that was gathered through creativity and art making. This is how I see art running into life. Mm-hmm. It is a vehicle for deeper and closer interaction with people and to provide people with opportunities for new experiences.
Mm-hmm. Cool. How many students you teach every semester?
Yeah, I teach full-time, but that doesn't mean I'm teaching full-time. Mm-hmm. It means that I teach 3 classes per semester. Teaching is a privilege to me, mm-hmm. To be asked to do that and to be placed in a situation where you are helping people grow and develop themselves through creativity, through their art practice, is a real privilege. It is also a learning opportunity for me too, Joey, in that I get to experience other people's lives vicariously. I can see the world through a greater lens through my interaction with my students. Mm-hmm. I've always viewed teaching as a bilateral situation, meaning that it's give and take. It's give and take. You learn from them and they learn from me. And unless you enter into that transaction, mm-hmm. the teaching of creativity can actually be kind of empty. So I took it upon myself to make certain that when I do work with my students, that it is a conversation. It's a real dialogue. It's a way to expand their notion of what their lives could be.
Okay, Richard, right now you are art professor from the California State University. But you used to be, of course, a student to learn the art from UAC, right?
Correct.
You got a scholarship from the UAC. So could you tell me, when you were student,
yes, absolutely.
what did you really get obtain from your professor, your teachers?
I was very fortunate to work with a number of very interesting artists who were teaching. All of them had a deep generosity of spirit. They were there to share. What I did learn most of all from my professors, particularly at USC, was resolve. The idea that if you are truly passionate about something, you have to keep doing it. Art making is a practice. It's a daily practice. It's a way that you train your mind. So one of the biggest lessons I learned through graduate school was really an exercise in shaping mind. And I keep coming back to a saying by a very famous artist by the name of Robert Rauschenberg, who, when asked why he did what he did, replied simply by saying he wanted to see how many times he could successfully change his mind. And that idea has stayed with me, in that I really believe that in life and in the experience of life, the more malleable your mind is, the more flexible your mind is, the greater the experience. So in a sense, graduate school was an experience of a lot of hard work, in a sense being tested, but the tests were all about your own personal resolve and how much you wanted to do it. So that, I think, was the valuable lesson from school.
Okay, I know you were born in New Zealand. You were not born in the United States. So when you were childhood, do you have something art thinking? So when did you make yourself to decide to be an artist? Or what made you want to be the artist?
In a sense, it chose me. A lot of artists have difficulty fitting into regular structures. When I was very young in primary school, I was not good at mathematics. I had a very late reading age, but I knew how to draw, and I knew how to talk about my drawings. And art in many ways saved me academically, in that I did not have the capacity for mathematics or reading and writing, but I did have the capacity to make a drawing and make people believe that what they were looking at wasn't somehow real. I remember my mother told me that she knew that I was going to be an artist at age 6, because she got a telephone call from my teacher saying, "You need to come and see what your son had done." And apparently I'd made a life-size drawing of a man carrying a donkey on his back. And the teacher was fascinated as to why I had done that on such a large scale. And so at that point, my mother, in later years, told me that at that point she realized that I was going to be an artist.
How old were you at that time?
6.
Oh, 6. Then your teacher found you have the talented, there's some genius of the art, the image, or something art, the quality in your mind, right?
It was sort of the way that I was processing the world, and that oftentimes in educational structures, we are placed into a situation where it's all qualitative or quantitative, right? It's about classification or quantities or numbers or things being together. I saw life in a very different way, even at that age.
When you came to United States, what university did you go, and what major you study?
I was very fortunate in that I was accepted into the University of Southern California here in Los Angeles. It was a lucky break in that they offered me a full scholarship. There would have been no way for me to afford to go to school here unless I'd been awarded the scholarship. And I felt like a beggar at a banquet, in that I was in an environment literally being taught by people who are my heroes. In New Zealand, I had a very good, strong arts education.
Okay.
The education systems in New Zealand are very good. The university education was excellent. But because it was a country far away from the rest of the world, before the internet had really kicked in, you felt very isolated. And so the circulation of ideas in the culture was quite limited. And I even realized that at age 22, when I decided to leave, that if I really wanted to expand myself as an artist, it was necessary to go overseas. at that time, Los Angeles was coming online as a very important art center. So I decided LA was the place to be to study. But the thing that fascinated me most about LA was the feeling of simulation, the feeling of it not being quite real somehow, that there was a sense of hyper reality here, that I don't like to use the word fake. I don't think fake applies. I think it's more complicated than that.
Complicated.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I loved it. I enjoyed it.
Okay. I know you are a sculptor. I saw
Yes.
your few piece of works of the art, and because we're friends, we met each other for a while, and I saw your artworks are very contemporary.
Yes.
Even I can say very abstract.
Yes.
Abstract.
Abstract. Yes.
Okay. So where did you get the nutrition? Where did you get the thinking from the life? Why? Where did you get where get the from
Where did the
life?
ideas come from?
I hear.
I was fascinated by the idea of presence having the potential to be invisible. In other words, there are many things around us that we do not see that are in operation, that are affecting us. You could think about atmosphere, the weather. These things are major influences in our lives, but we cannot actually see it. These are physical forces that are occurring around us that we cannot actually see. So in many ways I wanted to try and develop an art form that connected to that invisibility was made manifest somehow. It was brought to our attention. So abstraction was the best mode to follow in order to realize that idea. There has been a history of abstraction. There were two big inventions in the 20th century in art, both beginning with A. One was abstraction and one was appropriation, which means borrowing something from somewhere else and showing it as art. Those two ideas were things that I wanted to feed into my work. So I wanted to use materials and forms that were familiar to people, but also that were evoking or bringing out or containing something that was invisible, and defining that invisibility through some sort of exterior form. So the artworks that I'm producing at the moment are inflatable. They rely upon air pressure to give them form. So basically the sculpture is a skin that surrounds an invisibility, and that skin provides the form, but that form is actually controlled and suspended by air pressure, which is invisible rather. So these works, when you look at them, they are sort of a sculptural oxymoron or a sculptural paradox in that you see the form, but it has no weight. It has no heaviness to it. It has a lightness to it. This is something I wanted to evoke in my work too, in more of a kind of a, how can I say, perhaps a magical or mystical feel to it, that the work, you look at it, you sense it, but in a way your senses are not telling you the truth about the experience, right? What you're seeing is not necessarily what you're believing.
Okay, as an artist, of course, as a professor, teacher, you always teach. What do you want to teach your students? As an artist, what do you really want your viewer get from your works, artworks?
There are many things, and in many ways as an artist you cannot control all of the things that a person will get from your work, and as an artist I don't think you would really want to do that. I would like to think that my works make people more aware of themselves. The artworks in a sense become a trigger mechanism for people to think deeper thoughts about their own existence or their own presence. So in many respects, I mean, I was asked a very similar question recently at an art fair in Taipei.
The artwork always gave the painting gave the viewer like sometimes the beautiful feeling and also sometimes the moving moving, like music, moving the viewers. And sometimes the abstract of the artwork just want to give the viewer very deep impression. Okay, so all of this I will tell you what you really first want to give the viewers.
Well, more than anything
First
else.
time, yeah.
The first time they see something.
Yeah.
I would like them to ask a question.
Or ask a question.
Yeah, that they question what they're
So
looking
do you
at.
want your artwork to moving your viewers first?
Oh, of course, every artist
want to do that.
Every
Okay.
artist does, you know. But then you have to recognize that some art forms are more equipped for that than others. In a sense, like music, you know, it hits you emotionally. Music can make people move. Sculptures, by their very definition, are still. So there's a stillness in it which sort of evokes a contemplation or a reflection. So I see a sculptural work as an opportunity to, in a sense, slow a person down, just to make them more aware of where they are, to make them more aware of what they're looking at. In our society, in our culture, we're very obsessed by speed. We're very obsessed about putting more and more information onto smaller and smaller spaces. So in a sense, I'm trying to make people have an opposite sort of reaction, whereby those sort of cultural imperatives are somehow suspended. They're sort of slowed down. I think one of the key elements of art of the 20th century was an obsession with movement and speed. Oftentimes my work does have movement in it, but it's very slow movement. And that's intentional. That's there to provide a viewer with an opportunity to really, slow their perception, slow the way that they're contemplating the information about the world that's coming into them through their senses.
Okay, let's go back to the Renaissance time. Hello everybody, this is Zhou Zheng Art Channel from the Cloud TV. Hi Richard, very good comments to the, when you do your artwork, I want to know, have you really get influenced by another artist, even painters?
Oh yeah, yes. That's the other secret about
Could you give me, for example?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like who really gave you influence? I
was very influenced by an art movement that emanated from New York City in the early 1960s. And it was called, art historically, it's been called minimalism. Minimalism, meaning minimal.
Okay.
And the artists that are associated with that name actually rejected the name. They didn't like the name. But basically the work is characterized by a lack of detail, a lack of embellishment, the utilization of repetition, and a change in philosophical relationship to a viewer, in that these artists were very intrigued by a branch of philosophy called phenomenology, which is a form of philosophy that focuses on the senses, the information that we receive from the world through our eyes, our nose, our ears, our hands, etc. So they made objects that in many ways didn't look like traditional artworks, but were more philosophical objects. They were objects that were there, in a sense, to remind people of the power of ideas, right? And how the world is constructed from a set of ideas that have been derived from our sensory experience. So those artists were very important in my way of thinking. Not so much in that I was agreeing with everything they were doing, but more that my work was a reflex, in a sense, against some of their attitudes. But in order to make any form of critical comment, there is a form of agreement that you're making. So those artists were very important to my development. There's another very important artist by the name of Marcel Duchamp, who was
he's a
French artist who emigrated to the United States, like a lot of European artists, because of World War II. Duchamp actually had his first retrospective at the Pasadena Museum of Art here in Los Angeles. But Duchamp's work changed art forever in that he invented what is described as appropriation, or basically borrowing an object from another realm of life and then showing it as an artwork. He was really the first to do that. And in so doing, he opened up the field of art in a way that it had never been opened up before, in that it allowed the possibility of everything as being a meaningful experience. And so that attitude that Duchamp created is hugely important in my work too, in that, I see that sculpture now, in this moment, is such a powerful medium because it invites the possibility of everything as being meaningful. In other words, you could use anything. I could use that sofa over there as an artwork in a particular context.
Yeah, you just could tell me the two artists, they are both a sculptor, or one is a painter? Or
Duchamp originally was a painter, but he abandoned painting because he believed that the cinematic image, the movie image, was going to, in a sense, take over human consciousness. And he was right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the Wearn de Kooning?
Well, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you like him?
Amazing painter. Yes, fantastic paintings.
Because he's famous.
Yeah, very famous.
Is that before he's one of the woman.
The woman series. Yeah, the woman series.
He got a lot of the famous and works. Everybody know that works, and he got good sale also, good price.
Yeah, absolutely. His de Kooning was, in a sense, a latecomer to abstract expressionism. De Kooning was originally from Rotterdam in the Netherlands, so he provides this interesting art historical connection back to the traditions of Europe. But he immigrated to New York City to sort of escape what he described as the oppressiveness of Europe, the smallness of Europe. And yeah, de Kooning's work is hugely important for the development of American contemporary art.
Okay, so when you start the new artworks, because you're a sculptor, and what gave you the idea? For example, you listen music, or you meet some new people, or you travel the new places. Could you tell me most of the time what gave you the created the new works?
All of those things are important, and it's kind of like you're baking a cake in a sense. Your brain is the cake, and that you're trying to put as many different things into that
together, make you.
And then you have to. There's an element of trust that you have to get into with yourself. That if you feed the monster the right food, then things will occur. But it's that trusting of when those things do occur that you trust them to be okay, to be good ideas. I've learned, I'm now 49 years old, so I've been doing this for a reasonable period of time now. I have only recently just got to a point where I trust that instinct. Everything used to be, quite heavily calculated. But now I really trust my own instincts as an artist, that I feel as though that the ideas that do sort of percolate or rise to the top of my brain and make me want to do it are trustworthy. And that's taken a fair amount of time to get to that place, just by doing it a lot. You have to find a language, Joey, that suits you. And by language, I mean a set of ideas, a set of materials, a set of visual experiences that you would want to have yourself. And then from that, new things arise. But I must say to you though, sometimes it happens in the most inauspicious manner, in that I'm having a shower and something comes to mind, and I go, "That's a really great idea. I have to do that."
One day I wrote, I think the 6 years ago, 2012, I wrote an English poem. English poem is "Never Too Late." I want to shower. I have the shower. I think, oh, I got an idea to write a poem. So I remember the poem I finish. So yes, and sometimes we don't know where we are and what we're doing. Then we have the new idea, created a new idea, and we want to finish, right?
Yeah, I love that. That's the part of it I love.
That's why I said art comes from life.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. This is Zhouzen Art Channel. You're watching Zhouzen Art Channel of the Cyber Image and Cloud TV. Today, I interviewed Richard Wearn, and from the professor of the art department of the California State University of Los Angeles, and we have the wonderful conversation together. Talk about the life is art. Art comes from life. Thank you watching Zhouzen Art Channel.